Windows? I'm the Green Ninja, why would I want to be cleaning windows? Lloyd's words came out a little harder than he intended. To pass the time, the odd couple working their way up the mountain had engaged in a conversation. It had somehow led to the subject of responsibility and dealing with stress. That was not what Lloyd needed right now, but Clancy wouldn't let it go. Very satisfying, up and down, and the sun is your friend, I call her Sunny. If you've missed a spot, she'll let you know and you get to do it all over again. You can really see in Sunny's light. Perfection, very satisfying. Lloyd rolled his eyes. He had rather enjoyed Clancy's company up until this point, but he was starting to realize just how different they really were. And why did he have to name everything, Lloyd thought as he looked down at Lampy in his hand. I can also recommend dishwashing. That's an entirely different set of motions. Round and round and round, and the stack of plates grow taller and taller. The joy. Look, Clancy, I'm not going to be cleaning windows or anything else. My priorities are greater than that. I need to focus on the well-being of Ninjago. Lloyd felt a painful sting as he said that. What was he doing here? He was here for himself, and this quest was not in service of anyone else. He quickly tried to argue to himself that it was in everyone's best interest that his father's whereabouts were accounted for, but he relented as he knew that he was just making excuses to himself. Clancy had grown silent, and that did not help Lloyd's mood either. Now he just felt alone, with the howling winds. He turned to Clancy to pick up the conversation again. Hey Clancy, why don't we play a word game? I know a fun little one I used to play at Darkley's. What do you... Lloyd stopped. Clancy was staring past him and upwards. Lloyd turned to do the same, and as the clouds parted, there was the Hanging Temple, no farther than 100 yards ahead of them. The old woman's well-rehearsed tale at the inn echoed in his head. There is a man in Ninjago. He lives in an abandoned temple near the peak of the highest mountain. It stubbornly clings to the mountain's steep, snow-clad sides. The wailing winds pummel the time-worn rafters in a continuous battle between the cold, the wind, age, and gravity. Dramatic as it was, this was a very accurate description. Their journey up the mountain was at an end. The heavy wooden door cried 100-year-old cry as it swung open, fell inwards off its rusted hinges, and hit the floor with a loud thud. Snow whirled up and drifted into the freezing air of the dark temple. Lloyd strained his eyes to make out the interior, but he felt simultaneously snowblind and like he'd been hit by a hammer of darkness at the very same time. He gave himself a few seconds for his eyes to adjust before he walked forward and lit up a green flame with his fist. The green flames cast eerie shadows everywhere, and it was hard to make out anything specific, but most of all, Lloyd had a lump in his throat and a pressing sensation in his chest. There's no one here. There's nothing. He felt a sting of shame and embarrassment as he walked forward another few steps. Why had he abandoned his friends and disregarded Ninjago to go in this selfish quest? What was he hoping to find here in the first place? Clancy walked past him with hesitant steps, took the heat lamp and lit it up. Its orange light mixed in with the green and gave a slightly better view of the place. It had surely been a glorious place once, but now it was nothing but a ruin which had succumbed to the elements. Beams of white light from the outside streamed in through cracks in the walls, and once exquisite furniture was now nothing but rotted echoes of some proud past. I wish I had brought Moppy. This place could use some of her care. Lloyd wasn't sure if Clancy was being genuine, or if he was trying to distract from the grim expression which would have been very visible on Lloyd's face. At least we have a shelter for the night. Mostly. Clancy pushed down on the soggy pillows on a couch. He was trying hard to camouflage his own panic. Where were his friends? Lloyd fought past his disappointment, cleared his throat, and tried to give both himself and Clancy back a bit of hope. This is a big place. Maybe we just took a wrong door? I say we have some exploring to do. And so the unlikely duo set about exploring the temple. Lloyd was right about one thing. This place was big, and as they searched through chamber after chamber, they were both struck with a quiet awe of how grandiose and impressive it must have been back in the day. The craftsmanship on the carved pillars was telling stories with meticulous and intricate cuts. Room after room were filled with carvings. It would have taken one individual decades, and just the thought of how all the timber would have been brought up the mountain boggled the mind. They didn't mean to split up, but they did. Lloyd was trying to decipher the wood-carved tale of a wild-haired man riding a dragon. Clancy had found some woven tapestries that showed Ninjago as a complete circular continent, which appeared to be mostly frozen over. The two walked farther and farther apart, mesmerized by what they were seeing. Then there was a loud creak. The floor, rotted or worn thin, gave way under Clancy. In a desperate attempt to catch himself, he reached out and grabbed hold of the tapestry, but it just ripped and Clancy fell downward. He hit the lower floor hard and found himself covered by the tapestry. After a few moments to check himself and find his bearings, he started to dig his way out. Above him, he could hear running steps and Lloyd calling out for him. Yeah, I'm all right, Master Lloyd. Just bumped the old noggin a bit, he replied as he picked up the heat lamp, which had survived the fall unscathed as well. He shrieked as he saw something moving out of the corner of his his eye and spun to illuminate it. It was just a scrap of paper, which had been disturbed by the commotion and was settling down on the floor. Clancy drew a breath of relief and reached to pick it up. He started to make out the beautifully written letters on its bleached parchment. The words made his already cold blood run even colder. As he took in each word, he started to realize they had not come here in vain. Old Gertrude's words echoed in his mind as he read the entire page. He had heard it dozens of times back in the end, and now her words rang completely true to him for the very first time. The Wishmaster was real. He realized that in this moment, and as he stared into the face of destiny, he knew that he would be forever changed, just like the people in the old woman's tale. "Have you found something?" Clancy was jerked back to reality by Lloyd's voice. He quickly folded up the scrap of paper and stuck it inside his vest. No, nothing, he lied. "Well, I think you did. Just look at this." Up through the hole bathed in Lloyd's green light, Clancy saw a door right where the tapestry had been ripped away. This one was not made of wood though, but of a solid gleaming ice. Carved into it was a symbol, a shuriken-shaped snowflake, the symbol of an elemental master of ice.